Okay, there we go. There we go. What's up, TextMed? How's it going? How is it going? What's up? How's everybody doing today? Hope everybody's doing all right. Got a lot of stuff to cover today. Got a lot of stuff. Big boy, what's going on? What's going on, guys? Let's take a look at some of the things. You guys ready to talk about some of the cool things? Let's see. What was it? It's so simple. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get started here in a couple of minutes. We're just waiting for more people to arrive in the chat, and then we'll get started. I just want to give people the opportunity to, join us. So, welcome to the stream. We'll be starting here in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to sip on my coffee for now, take a look at some things for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to get started, guys. Hopefully everybody's okay with that. I'll eventually get a splash screen started so that I can, allow people to join in on the chat before I actually get started. What's this about? We're going to be taking a look at the cryptocurrency market today, where I think Bitcoin specifically is headed, but everything follows Bitcoin in this market. So we're going to be taking a look at the market as a whole, and we're just going to be talking about what I think is happening with the current market. We're going to be taking a look at some indicators as far as technicals go, and then we're going to be taking a look at some of the fundamental analysis that I've drawn from things that have been happening over the past few days. What's up, guys? What's up? Before we get started, I'd like everybody to know that everything that I talk about today is not considered financial advice. Any financial decisions that you make with your money are your own. I cannot be held responsible for any investments that you make based on things that I say in today's video in my live stream. So please keep that in mind before you go out and make an investment based on something that I say today. Now, I really appreciate all of the regard that you guys give me, listening to what I have to say and being interested in what I have to say. I really, really appreciate that, but I am not a financial advisor, so please keep that in mind, guys. All right. I think we've got a few people in here now, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started with today's video, today's live stream. So The first thing that I wanted to talk about today was some fundamentals that I've been going over. Now, whenever I talk about fundamentals, I am going through so many different things. You know, something that somebody takes a look at and says, oh, that's FUD, or that's terrible news for Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency market, I might take a look at and say, hey, that's actually a great fundamental for Bitcoin, and that might actually help raise awareness for the entire cryptocurrency market. So this is one of those specific things. You know, you take a look at an article like this where it says Iceland lawmaker proposes tax on incoming cryptocurrency miners. You might take a look at that and say, shit, like, everybody's trying to move to Iceland right now as far as cryptocurrency miners go because it's so cheap. Power is cheap, and it's a very sustainable mining operation there right now. However, if taxes get implemented there, then that's going to take cut from the revenue stream. So a lot of people are taking a look at this and saying, oh, that's terrible news. And while they're not wrong as far as miners go, this is actually a really great thing in the news for fundamental analysis, because it shows that countries are seeing this as a viable revenue stream. A country wouldn't just crack down and say, hey, we want taxes on this, if they didn't see it as something that is profitable for them. So this is actually a really great thing, guys. They're taking a look at Bitcoin and they're seeing that this network is serious. It's not going away. If they were to just shrug it off and say, oh, these miners, you know, in a few years, this all is going to be worthless, so there's no point in us investing our time and efforts into creating a law that taxes them on it. So I take a look at this and I say, okay, this is actually really good for long-term investments, because it means that countries are starting to care about this market. You know, anytime a government says we want our cut, that's usually a good thing. Obviously, it's not good for our pocketbooks, but it's a good thing for the market as a whole, as far as I'm concerned. So I wanted to mention that. And then another article came out today. I've talked so much in the past about JP Morgan, Chase, and Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase. I've talked so much about them in the past, and today we have another article. Basically, this article is complete garbage. The article itself is not garbage. What is in the article, what JP Morgan Chase came out with a statement for, is garbage. They basically said that Bitcoin could either go down to $4,605 or it could go up to $14,000. They're not really sure. So I take a look at this and I'm like, okay, that's pretty vague. But the great thing about this is JP Morgan Chase is talking about Bitcoin. From Jamie Dimon calling Bitcoin a fraud or a scam to something like this, they're actually analyzing the market and trying to decide if it's a good buy or sell opportunity right now. That's kind of a big deal. So again, I take a look at this fundamental analysis and I say, okay, if JP Morgan Chase is still doing their research on this, then it's clearly a viable investment because they care enough to make statements on it. So you might take a look at this as well and be like, oh, they're, talking shit again, saying that Bitcoin is going to go down to $4,600. But the reality of the situation, guys, is that it might actually go down to $4,600. It might go below that. And I tell you guys all the time to be prepared if that does happen. But from what I've read in this article, it basically sounded like JP Morgan Chase had no idea what they were talking about. But the fact of the matter is they're still studying it, and that's important. They're saying that it's not going anywhere, and that's true. Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency market is not going anywhere. It will be around. So that's good for the entire market as a whole to see that JP Morgan Chase cares enough to make a statement about it. So another good fundamental outlook right there. Another thing that brought in some more good fundamental news was that the state of Arizona here in the United States approved a bill to permit tax payments in Bitcoin, so you can now pay your taxes to the state of Arizona in Bitcoin. And the reason that that's important is because Arizona sees Bitcoin as a form of payment, as a currency that can be transacted. That is a huge deal. Whenever lawmakers decide that something can be used as a form of payment, that's usually huge news. You know, there's still a lot of avenues that haven't been researched in this sector, but the fact that you have lawmakers that are saying that it's good enough to pay your taxes, that's saying something. And you might say, well, Clay, this is just another ploy for them to get their money. And yeah, they're going to get their money regardless. But the fact that they're saying that you can pay for your taxes in Bitcoin is a huge deal, and it's a step in the right direction. Now, I don't want to talk about taxes as a whole. I don't want to say whether I believe taxes are legal or not. That is not this conversation at all that I want to have with you guys. I just am telling you that having a state say that they are willing to accept a cryptocurrency as a form of payment is a very, very, very big deal. And it should not be taken lightly. And I think things like this are the reason that we're seeing a rise in the value of Bitcoin today, because we're getting good fundamental indicators. Now, whether or not we have the proper technical indicators, we'll talk about here in a second. But the fundamentals are definitely there right now to have a good conversation about why the price of Bitcoin is rising today. And in a minute, we'll talk about the technicals that I'm seeing on the charts. I just wanted to show you guys a couple of those things. This is another article about JP Morgan Chase that I found on STEEM, and it's a really good article. I encourage you guys to join STEEM so that you can view some of these great articles. If you haven't joined already, STEEM is a great place to earn a little bit of side income. So I would still pay in dollars. Bitcoin should perform much better over time versus US dollars. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I paid my taxes in US dollars, but that's just me. What's up, SSC? How's it going? So, now that I got some of the fundamentals out of the way, I wanted to talk a little bit about technicals. And some more fundamentals that I like to take a look at are Reddit and Twitter, what people are saying about the market. And there are so many people that are back and forth on whether the market is going to continue this uptrend that we currently see, or whether it's going to continue going down in a bearish trend like we've had over the past few weeks. So there are a lot of people on Twitter and Reddit that are saying that 6,000 was the bottom. 6,000 was the bottom, and now we're headed straight up. But there is a lot to say about the resistance at 9,000 that we saw just a couple of days ago. And we'll talk more about that with the technical analysis. But fundamentals, you want to see what people are actually saying about the market. If you have a mass number of people saying that they're very bullish on the current market, then that's a good thing. However, sometimes that can be very misleading, and I encourage you to take a look at both fundamental and technical analysis whenever determining if now is a good time to buy or sell. Now, I'm talking to everybody in here as if you are a trader, but I know that some of you guys that are watching right now are just investors that like to invest and hold in the market. And so that's not really applicable to you. However, anybody can make money off of swings, and I encourage you to take as much profit as possible when it comes to those types of things. Like, you can be an investor and believe in a project and still make money off of swings. So I encourage you to do that. But let's get into a little bit of the technicals. Now, this is somebody that is kind of revered on STEEM. Heijin. He posts technical analysis every single day on STEEM. He clearly has a good STEEM score in his reputation, and he posts a lot of technical analysis. Now, in his analysis, he was talking today about how he sees that we're going to continue a downtrend. However, the upper target right now for him is 94.51. So if we continue to see an uptrend, that is going to be his target for where he wants to sell, because he is still bearish on the trend as a whole. So this is somebody that is kind of revered on STEEM. However, he's just somebody that has been in the market for a while. You know, no one in cryptocurrencies is an expert. And so I encourage you all to do your own due diligence and take a look at lots of investors, see what they're saying. If you go to TradingView, there are a lot of people talking about how the price is going to continue to drop. And that is also very important, because if you have, and some of these are pros, you can take a look and see that some of these people are professionals in their field. And so if you have people that are making predictions that the price is going to continue to drop, then that's kind of important information to have. And I encourage you to go on TradingView and take a look at some of these charts. I'm going to show you my chart, guys. I'm going to show you the indicators that I'm taking a look at. This is currently, he is not that good, mate, trust me. Yeah. So I'm not going to say whether or not I believe that Heijin is great. I was just showing you what he predicted. I would definitely go to TradingView and take a look at some of the professionals there. I am not a professional, and I don't claim to be. However, on this one-day chart, I'm going to talk about what I currently see. Taking a look at the MACD, it looks like we're going to start a new uptrend. However, this chart can be very deceiving, because if you take a look, a couple of days ago, we hit $9,000. We broke $9,000, and we immediately fell again. and we closed yesterday at lower than the day before, and today we're up, but we haven't hit that $9,000 resistance yet. And if we break that $9,000 resistance, I could see us going up past $9,000 and starting a new uptrend. But at this point, it's very hard to say if we're going to go up from here or continue our bearish trend. Some great Fibonacci pros said it will go to 5147. 80% chance. Yeah, there are definitely a lot of professionals out there. So, you know, you have to take a look at all of them objectively and see if they have skin in the game. You have to see, you know, what their ties are. And, you know, only some of these people are going to be correct because nobody really knows what the market is going to do. We could have a cryptocurrency exchange that gets hacked tomorrow, and that would drop the entire market value. Taking a look at these technicals, though, if we break that $9,000 resistance, I could see us moving and starting a new uptrend. If we hit this $9,000 mark again and fall, that could mean that we would see a bearish trend continue downwards, which it's very likely that we would see lower lows than that $6,000 mark that we hit this past week, because that $9,000 resistance mark is a very, very important mark. Let's go back. As you can see, back in November, we hit, where was it? Is there a way to short on GDAX? No, there is not. So back in November, we dropped down once we hit 10K. We dropped down to this $9,000 support. It was a support back then, and we rose from there. However, on the other side of the aisle, we now have that $9,000 mark as a resistance. And if we can break that resistance, we could see $11,000 again, like we saw back in November. But this $9,000 mark is very, very vital to and I hate to say FOMO, but once we hit that $9,000 mark back in November, we immediately shot up to $11,000 in a FOMO buy. There's something psychological about that mark. And I think if we hit that $9,000 mark and surpass it again, and it continues to drive up, then we're going to see that 11,000 hit again. But it's very hard to say at this point because we haven't hit that $9,000 mark. We're getting close. We keep getting very, very close. We almost hit it earlier today, and now we're back up to 88.80 almost. So this is going to be a very trying time for Bitcoin and the entire market as a whole. Let's take a look at the entire market cap. Currently, we're sitting at $428 billion. We've had 17, almost $18 billion in volume over the last 24 hours. So the volume is good. The market cap is rising with the price of Bitcoin rising. But right now, there's really not much we can do at this point. If you have been waiting on the sidelines with your money tied up in US dollars, then I would continue to hold off just to see what happens. I can't say for sure whether Bitcoin is going to go up or go down, but I will say that this $9,000 mark is a very, very trying time. And so if it falls again, we could easily see that low of $5,000. And if it continues to fall, then who the hell knows what could happen from there. But hey, thanks, Jess, for the follow. I appreciate that. Do you think we can reach $1 trillion cap by the end of the year? I definitely think we could. I'm still very bullish on the market as a whole. I think that Bitcoin will continue to go up over time. However, right now, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market. And a lot of the market's value is still very speculative. A lot of these projects that are on the market don't really do anything at this point, and yet they have these incredible market cap valuations. And so you have to take a look at that and say, is this sustainable? And the correction that we're currently in right now with Bitcoin and the entire market cap as a whole is healthy. I've said it plenty of times. This is a very healthy correction. I definitely don't see anything wrong with the current correction that we're in. We're at 88.88, guys. We're almost to that $9,000 mark, and a lot could happen over the next 24 hours, guys. Definitely keep your eyes on these charts over the next 24 hours. A lot could happen. So, taking a look at the one-day chart and looking at the MACD, it looks like we're moving towards an uptrend. Taking a look at the CCI, it looks like we're moving towards an uptrend, but at this point, there is still so much uncertainty and so much doubt out there. There's so many analysts saying that the price of Bitcoin is going to continue to fall, and so I would heed those warnings, guys. I would definitely take a look at what they're saying and why. Take a look at the indicators that they're using and, you know, decide if right now is a good time for you to buy or if it's a good time to just hold on to what you have. If you bought into Bitcoin at the very top, around 19K, then it's really tough to say what you should do, but you do have options. You definitely have options. You could either sell now and wait to see if the price of Bitcoin continues to fall, which it definitely could. And if it does, you could buy back in at a cheaper price and watch your value go up. You could hold for the long term and just forget about the market for a while. Because come springtime, I think we're going to see a robust market. I think we're going to see a lot of growth come springtime, come summertime, just like we did in 2017. Every winter, there's usually a slump. You know, it might not be as large as we had this year, and I hate to talk about that now just because the market cap valuation is so much higher than it's ever been. So it's a lot different now than it used to be. But I still like to take a look at these old charts and see that Bitcoin has corrected almost 80% before. Over 80% actually. So take a look at some of those old charts around wintertime and see that this isn't the first time we've had anything like this. And it probably won't be the last, guys. But also keep in mind that this is a brand new market. You know, this is not the same market that we had last year. A lot of new investors have flooded to the market to try and make a quick buck. A lot of capital investors are starting to put their money in. And I think once we start to see their money move into the market, we're going to see some tremendous growth. Because I still feel like we haven't seen the capital investor money. I don't. I think we've seen a lot of your average Joe money move into the market for people that are trying to make a quick buck. But I don't think that capital investors who are very cautious about their investments, I don't think we've seen them move into the market yet. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, guys. Continue to watch this chart over the next 24 hours. If this candle closes higher than yesterday and tomorrow's candle closes higher than that, we might start seeing some higher volume and some buys. But who's to say that if the market goes up over the next few days that it doesn't come crashing back down? There's no guarantee. Convert to Tether. I do not advise that at all. I am not a big fan. May I ask you a suggestion, not a financial advice? What would you do? I will definitely drop a 10K on Nex ICO. Would you do that? I actually plan on dropping quite a bit on Nex. I plan on... So I don't invest in ICOs very much. I'll just get that out of the way. I invested in 3 ICOs in 2017. I haven't invested in any yet in 2018. I'm not a big fan of ICOs because I prefer to invest in a working product. However, I saw some promise in a few of the ICOs last year, and I invested in them. Tex, thanks for the sub, man. I really appreciate that, man. I really do. Thank you so much. Name the ICO you invested in. I invested in EOS. I invested in Tezos. And I invested in the NVO DEX. Why have you gone from gaming to this stuff? This is my job now, Panda. I got out of the Air Force, and now I spend all of my time talking about cryptocurrencies, man. So you guys are already asking questions, so I'm just going to open up the floor to questions for the next 20 minutes, and then I got to get out of here because I got to go hit up the gym, and I have some plans this evening, so I will take as many questions as I can in the next 20 minutes, so just fire away with questions that you guys might have. We're seeing Bitcoin go up a little bit here. You know, we're $50 away from that $9,000 mark. And again, that's going to be a key point right there, key resistance. So keep an eye on these charts, guys, while we're talking. Tex, I really appreciate that, man. SSC, of course, man. Those were the 3 ICOs that I invested in 2017. And the reason that I invested in both Tezos... So Tezos and EOS were both very smart investments as far as I'm concerned, because anything that plans to compete with Ethereum is a good thing, I think. Ethereum, I invested in Ethereum a long time ago, and I am very happy with the investment that I made in that. However, Ethereum has not had a direct competitor. And I thought that it was time for Ethereum to have some competition. So I've invested in Cardano, I've invested in EOS, I've invested in Tezos, and I think that those platforms all have a very good shot of doing well. And I don't think that you should take a look at those platform blockchains and say, oh, this one's better than that one. You take a look at their use cases and say, okay, I could see why this one would have a use case. I could see why this one would have a use case. And I don't really like to take a look at them and say, okay, this is an Ethereum killer. This is an Ethereum killer. I don't think Ethereum is going anywhere. You take a look at the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance and you can just see all of the companies that are invested in it, and you say, okay, yeah, Ethereum's not going anywhere. So we're never going to see games? I'm not saying that, man. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying for right now, I'm focusing on cryptocurrencies. I might eventually stream video games again, but at this point, I've devoted pretty much all of my time into cryptocurrencies, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But I do plan on eventually getting back into video games, man. What other questions do you guys have for me? Bitcoin is continuing to rise, and we might see that $9,000 mark in this live stream. I've read about inflation affecting stocks on Wednesday. Do you think it'll affect crypto as well? I think we'll actually see an inverse correlation, to be honest, because Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies are deflationary objects. There's 9,000, guys. There it is. We just hit 9,000, and it's already dropping a little bit. We'll just have to wait and see what happens with that $9,000 mark. But to answer your question, Vix Muse, I think that with Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, we will see them go up in value as the dollar continues to fall in value. And the reason I say that is because there's a finite amount. You take a look at Bitcoin and there will only ever be 21 million minted into existence, and we've already lost about 4 million of them. So that puts us around 17 million coins. That's really not that many. And proof of work, regardless of what you think about all of the energy used to burn, gives it value. The fact that it requires people to burn energy to keep the Bitcoin network moving actually adds value to it. Has anyone noticed how stable Litecoin was during the Bitcoin crashes? Litecoin has actually always been a pretty stable coin, and I've mentioned that before plenty of times. I'm a big fan of Litecoin, and I always have been. And I have a little bit of Litecoin myself. With the introduction of LitePay, I believe it was, or what was my video recently? I talked about the new Litecoin payment application that just looks incredible. And I've talked about it. I've talked about Litecoin plenty in the past, and I encourage you to take a look at why Litecoin could be an incredible asset to have in 2018 and 2019. I haven't played a single video game since I got into crypto. Yeah, man, it definitely makes it difficult because you always want to be doing research on this. Like, I always want to know what's going on with the market, and I'm constantly having to tell myself, all right, Clay, you've been sitting at your desk staring at this computer screen for hours now. You need to get up and go do something else. So I definitely fall victim to that trap as well. But there's just so much potential in the market right now. There's so many opportunities to make money, and it's hard. It's really hard to get up sometimes. Yes, LightPay. Yeah, LightPay. I think LightPay is going to be a huge deal in 2018. I think we could really see the price of Litecoin go up in value, or it could just stay constant. It could stay consistent, and that's not a bad thing if it does. That's not a bad thing at all. Like, that's actually a really good thing for a payment solution. But there's just so much in the works right now for Litecoin that I think it has a lot of potential to be a great payment solution. There's some talks about Litecoin being introduced into some new markets, and if that's true, if that speculation is true, then it'll definitely go up in value. But at this point, it's all just speculation. We're seeing Bitcoin fall now. We're down about $50 from that $9,000 mark. I told you guys that $9,000 mark is a vital resistance point. Any thoughts on Nano versus Litecoin? Honestly, I have not done any research on Nano. There's been so much talk about Nano in the past few weeks from so many different people on Twitter and YouTube and things like that. But I hate getting involved in projects that have so much FOMO, and that's exactly what we have seen with Nano. There's been so much FOMO around that project, and that kind of bothers me. I don't want to, I guess, get involved in something that, you know, people are just talking about because big YouTubers talked about it. That's not the way that I invest personally. So there hasn't been enough fundamental reasons for me to get involved with Nano, if that makes sense. So I've kind of just stayed clear of it. What other questions do you guys have for me? And by the way, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about any projects on the market. As long as I know something about it, I'll talk about it. But if I don't know anything about the project that you're requesting, then I'll let you guys know. I honestly have no idea about that project. I haven't done enough research. I don't like to make any claims about a project unless I've done consistent research on that specific project. That's just the type of person that I am. What you drinking? I'm actually drinking coffee right now. I know it's 5 p.m., but I plan on being up late this evening. I've got some plans, so I'm drinking coffee to stay awake. I shouldn't be drinking coffee right now considering I'm about to go to the gym, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now. We might see 9,000 retested here. I really hope that we do push past this $9,000 resistance, but at the same time, if we do fall lower than what we've seen before, then it might offer us a little bit more buying potential. If you're sitting on the sidelines right now waiting for lower lows, then I could definitely see why you would want the market to fall a little bit more. Why has Lux price gone down? It's actually based on the announcement that they made yesterday. So 2 days ago, we were supposed to have staking and masternodes enabled on the network, on the Lux network. However, due to some unforeseen issues and third parties that have been trying to manipulate the network, the devs have had to postpone the masternodes and staking of the wallet, which is a big deal because investors want to be able to receive those dividends from their investments. And because of the announcement that they made yesterday saying that those things will be postponed, a lot of people have grown a little bit weary of the project. And that makes sense. I can see why people would be upset or confused or, fearful of the future with that project. But me personally, I take a look at that and I say, you know what? Do what you guys have to do as far as production goes. If you need more time to make a stable product, then take the time to make a stable product. But the thing is, they have a working product right now. They don't have everything that they've promised yet, but it's in the works. And if you can be patient, then I think the price will go up once masternodes and staking come around. Trezor worth a crap to get while waiting on the ledger, or just paper wallet and wait? Yeah, if you've already ordered a ledger, then just go ahead and use a paper wallet until you get it. Make sure that you keep that paper wallet as safe as possible. Here we are. We're about to test that $9,000 mark. But yeah, if you can wait and be patient on that ledger, just go ahead and get you a paper wallet and keep that paper wallet safe. Thanks for the info. Need to leave work to beat traffic. Have a good night all. Thanks, Jessica, for watching. I appreciate it. Future Proof asks, do you have EOS in your portfolio? I do. I currently have EOS. I actually invested in EOS the first day of its ICO, whenever it was a 5-day period. And I got in super cheap, and I'm very, very content with my investment in that. So yes, I do have EOS in my portfolio, and I plan on holding EOS for a while, I think. What other questions do you guys have for me? I've got about 10 more minutes, guys. 10 more minutes, and then I gotta dip out of here because I've got some plans I got to attend to later on. What other questions? You know what? Ask your questions, and I will be right back. I will be right back, guys. I need to start getting hydrated for the gym. Which was the price whenever you bought EOS, dude? I honestly don't even remember. Let's take a look. EOSscan.io. I don't remember what the price was whenever I first bought in. It was the very first day of the ICO, though. So it was It was 86 cents. Glad to see you take my advice with Twitch. Yeah, I didn't really have a choice, Laser, because YouTube banned me from live streaming. I've been live streaming on YouTube, but they banned me for 90 days. So thanks, Laser, for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Did you finish reading Cliff High's prediction paper? What was your thoughts on it? I definitely read through his entire market. We can actually pull it up. LOL, what? Why? I got banned for a copyright infringement. I was trying to show the Wolf of Wall Street, a clip of the Wolf of Wall Street for my audience, just for educational purposes. I was using the Fair Use Act, and I guess I still got banned from live streaming for it, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. Let's see if I can find... We're going to pull up that Cliff High. Where did it go? Where did it go? I swear it was just here. Anyways, I'll have to search through my documents again to find that Cliff High report. The thing is, the thing that I drew from it the most, though, was that he's still very bullish on Bitcoin as a whole in 2018. In fact, I think he said it was going to reach 40 grand by this summer. Was that right? I definitely want to make a video on that entire report and just break it down piece by piece. I haven't really had the time to go through and make a video on that, but it's a projection for the future, so I still have plenty of time to take a look at that and make a video for you guys. And so I'll definitely go through and do that. Thank you for reminding me about that text med, though. It's been a couple of days since I last read it, and I need to go through it again, but I definitely want to make a video on that. Do you think that NEX will go up in value like Neo and Gas did, or just remain low as an exchange token like Binance Coin? That's really, really tough to say. Generally speaking, exchange coins don't go up in value tremendously just because that's what they're used for. They're used for the exchange platform. So if the ICO itself starts at pennies and it goes up to $10, well, then you've still made an incredible return. So I definitely think investing in that ICO will be very profitable regardless of what the price goes to, because you have to take a look at the price of the ICO itself, and then you factor in the amount of coins that they plan to issue. And so I think it will be very profitable, though. We're losing a little bit of momentum here on Bitcoin. It's down to 89.25 right now. And I told you guys, like, once it hits that $9,000 mark, if it continues to fall, then that is not a good sign. We want to see it break that $9,000 mark and continue to go up from there, because once we break that psychological barrier of $9,000, then we could see some good growth in the next few days to few weeks. But if we hit that $9,000 mark and fall, then we could definitely see some lower lows than what we saw over the past week. So please, please be very careful with your investments over the next few days to few weeks, guys. There's really no telling what the market is going to do. You can take everything that we talked about today and pair it with other people's analysis, and I encourage you to do that, and make a good financial decision on what you want to invest in and where. Next token price will be $1, right? In ICO, I read so. I haven't actually seen a valuation of. It's been a while though since I read about the ICO. The last I read, they didn't even have a date for whenever they were starting the ICO. I don't know if that's changed, but when I read about it, there wasn't a valuation on each coin yet. So I'll just have to take a look at that. That's going to be it for today's live stream, though, guys. I really, really appreciate... Oh, let's go to this one. I really appreciate all of you for watching today's video. I hope that everything that we talked about today helps determine whether or not you are going to stay out of the market or maybe get into the market. Again, this is not financial advice. This is just me, some guy on Twitch, telling you what I think is going to happen. I'm not an expert. Nobody is an expert in this field. So please don't view what I'm saying as expert advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to do with your money. So please be careful with your investments. Right now is a very vital time to see if that $9,000 mark is going to be broken or continue to fall. And I encourage you to continue doing your research. Make sure you do your due diligence, and just be careful out there, guys. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you all so much for joining me in my stream. Crypto Clay out.